my throat. For those that know that song, you know what I'm talking about. Good morning, everybody. It's yours truly, Dan Adams, a.k.a. the Soulful Conservative, the DA and the prosecutor, coming to you live with the Morning Rush here on the Dan Adams Show Facebook page. It is September 10th, 2019. And I wanted to talk about a few things, get a few things off my chest. And the first thing I want to get off my chest is I'm 46 years old. So for those who are of my age or older, does it get harder to wake up in the morning, especially to get to work? Because it is becoming extremely hard for me to get up, to get myself out of bed. Now, I know I have to get up and get the girl to the bus stop for school before 6:01, and then I head into work after that. So that what time you think I need to get up in the morning, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. And I know people get up probably earlier than that, but it's getting tough. It really is. Now, speaking of tough, did you hear about the report in regards to the border? In the 60% decrease in apprehensions and arrests at the border? I wonder, with all those negotiations with Canada and other Central American countries, because Trump is actually doing something about the crisis at the border. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, months ago, when we were all knowing that it was a crisis, and still is, it isn't completely eliminated and wiped out. But when we were all saying there is a major crisis at the border, everyone on the left was saying it was a manufactured crisis at the border. But then, when all of these punk ass, now we're about to get dark, ladies, and I'm going through a tunnel. So, when all of the Democrat freshmen, aka the squad, Taib, Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, and Presley, went on their, I guess if you want to call it, unbelievable. See, hey Sarah Swift, how you doing? Good morning, God bless. Thank you for tuning in. They all were like, oh my gosh, we just went to the border, they're drinking out of toilets. So, weeks prior, there wasn't a crisis at the border. It was manufactured by the Trump administration and those on the right. But you go down and visit a detention center and you made it a photo op, lied through your teeth in regards to the conditions at these detention centers. And then you call them concentration camps. You call them every word, every name, and every descriptive apparatus at your disposal in regards to demeaning these detention centers, which, wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, they're called detention centers for a reason. Because individuals illegally entered into America. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you think about the, I guess, perceived notion from the left and their denial of the crisis at the border, that we all knew what was the issue at the border, and then their political expediency and their political opportunity to somehow bring down a notch the efforts and the policy change put forth by the Trump administration to curb, ladies and gentlemen, because we're never going to eliminate illegal immigration unless we have a border wall and border fencing at every possible section that an illegal can cross into the country, or have law enforcement and technology at our disposal, so if there are gaps, law enforcement and technology will fill that void. So all I have to say is kudos to the Trump administration for putting forth the efforts to stop, to curb, to eliminate, to do whatever thing within their power to stop the onslaught, the invasion, of illegal immigrants coming into America. Now, let's move on from illegal immigration to the report that just was put out in regards to the House Oversight Committee and Jim Jordan, and trying to find out what's going on with those trips that happened when these idiots from the left went down to try and somehow smack Trump up against his face in regards to the conditions of detention centers and the border. Meanwhile, you have individuals from the Democrat Party who took trips with these individuals trying to find out, wait a minute, excuse me, not only did you take yourselves, but you took your staff with you, and you took multiple, not one, not two, multiple, 3 or more trips to the Mexican border and into Mexico, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. So you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what were these trips about? Besides trying to somehow demean and besmirch the Trump administration in regards to their stance on illegal immigration. Well, you took multiple trips to Mexico along with your staff. Who paid for those trips? Me and you, ladies and gentlemen. What were these trips for? Where is the transparency, ladies and gentlemen? So Jim Jordan and his members of the Oversight Committee are all over this to try and figure out what went down with these multiple Mexico trips. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the story that I just heard on the radio. And I'm going to have to do a little bit more research to find out what was going on with this. But I guess there was a American spy within the Russian government, even at the highest levels of the Kremlin, even the highest level as in regards to having conversations with one Vladimir Putin. And CNN just put out this fake ass news story that even the New York Times debunked. So when you have CNN putting out a fake news story and the New York Times is debunking it, then you know, Lord have mercy, the story is completely and utterly fake, false, and untrue. They're saying, and the CIA, who hardly ever comes out and says anything, came out and said that with this information in regards to the spy, and supposedly Trump runs his mouth so much that he allowed this information to spill out in regards to this spy, this American spy within the Russian government and the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin to be known because of his big mouth. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the story is fake, false, and untrue. The New York Times has debunked the CNN story. And CNN, wow. You have taken it to the depths of putting out, once again, more and more fake news, and you won't even come out and apologize. You won't even come out with a retraction. You won't even say, my bad, because we all know the agenda is anti-Trump, never Trump, Trump derangement syndrome agenda. We all know this. Even the people within your own company knows this. So, are they going to come out with a retraction or an apology? Of course not. They can't. They never will. Because they think and deem that their news is accurate. The reporters are above reproach. These stories that they put out are above reproach. All I have to say is this, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag child please, hashtag Lord have mercy, and hashtag fake news. If you've ever heard about that story, look it up. Just heard about it on the radio myself this morning. So, let's go ahead and talk about, and we're going to take a pivot, ladies and gentlemen, from politics. I'm going to talk about sports for just a second, for just a minute. Here I am, living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Steelers fan, and the debacle the sheer embarrassment. We landed in New England, but we weren't, as the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, said, weren't prepared. Wait a minute. You are an NFL franchise, an NFL team, getting paid millions of dollars. You're playing on Sunday Night Football against the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, and you weren't prepared. All I know is, and I've said it for years, Mike Tomlin needs to go. Nice guy. Seems like to be a player's coach. But it is time for him to go. He won a Super Bowl in his second year with players left over from the Cowher regime. Got to the Super Bowl in 2011 and lost that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, spare me that, he needs have a losing season or more in order to be released or let go or fired. No. Just because you won that Super Bowl back in 2009 doesn't give you carte blanche. Mike Tomlin does not give you carte blanche. So Steeler Nation, raise up. Let your voices be heard. It is time for a coaching change for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was my sports take for today. Going to move back to things within the world. It doesn't have to even be political. There was a story about a country singer, and her name is escaping me now. But she was only 30 years old, and she died recently in a car accident. That we are now finding out that this particular 30-year-old who has a 6-year-old son, who she has left behind, tragically, had multiple DUIs on her record. Now, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how the legal system deals with DUIs in regards to how many you need to have before your license is revoked. If someone knows, go ahead and put it in the comment section of this video so I can know what that is. But this woman, very rare you see women having multiple DUIs. That's just from what I see. I watch cop shows all the freaking time, live PD, cops, and all that good stuff. I hardly ever see a woman being pulled over for DUI or driving under the influence. But this woman, multiple upon multiple DUIs, and she not only killed herself, because now we're finding out more likely this accident was her fault, killed the driver in the other car, tragically. I don't know. Like I said, I've never had a problem with alcohol or drugs in my life. I don't understand the wherewithal within people to reach for drugs and alcohol. To me, it seems as if it's just a numbing agent for either the pain or the psychological warfare that may be going on within their brains. I don't know. But all I know is this. This 6-year-old boy no longer has his mother for the rest of his life. Family no longer has a daughter or a sister or an aunt, a friend. Just because this individual just could not call an Uber, and this person's a country singer, I'm assuming she could have called somebody within her camp to say, come pick me up. I've had too many. But as I digress and get back to the final topic of the Morning Rush, here September 10th, 2019, here on the Facebook page of yours truly, The Dan Adams Show, I want to talk about proper etiquette, ladies and gentlemen, proper etiquette when it comes to talking with multiple individuals in the conversation. I'm not going to call out names. I'm not going to pinpoint certain individuals, but you know who you are. When you have a situation where you're in a conversation where there's maybe 3, 4, or more people involved. And you're the individual actually outside of the conversation, wasn't part of the conversation to begin with. You somehow bulldoze yourself into the conversation, take over the conversation, and then get pissed off when someone either tries to interject or you get interrupted. I know many individuals who are like this, and I guarantee you, you have someone that you know that is of this ilk. What do you do in those situations, ladies and gentlemen? I know what I do. I'm the type of person that tries to avoid confrontation at all costs. But unless it is brought to me in a manner that I have to either defend myself or confront the individual because they're just going to be in a complete and utter ass, I take myself out of the equation in most instances. I don't know what you do, but that's what I do, because number one, life is too short to be dealing with individuals who feel the need to bulldoze themselves into conversations that they weren't part of to begin with. I'm not going to spend any more energy trying to maybe point out to these individuals because they don't seem to learn, process, or even make an attempt to do better. So why am I going to waste my time trying to route an individual in a path to where they're not bulldozing a conversation that they weren't a part of to begin with? So let's take that for a little nugget of information, a little nugget of, I guess, if you want to call it, maybe a topic of conversation with coworkers today. Because I'm headed into the 9 to 5. Many of you are on the East Coast are heading into the 9 to 5. Just always know that yours truly has your back, does what he can to push out the message of conservatism, but always know that I will always, and I will do this till my last breath, I am a conservative, true and true, through and through, and that will never change. But I am not the type of person that will shut down anyone from the other side if they want to have a civil, that's right, civil conversation. So if you happen to be watching this, go ahead and share this out. And if you do watch it at a later point, go ahead and share this out. This was the Morning Rush, ladies and gentlemen. September 10th, 2019, here on the Dan Adams Show on Facebook. You can come to this page. Just go and type facebook.com/The Dan Adams Show. My personal Facebook account is Dan Adams PGH, all one word, Dan Adams PGH. And I'm also that on Twitter, Instagram. And for those out there who happen to be in the trenches of trying to eliminate the nonsense that the left is putting out, I'll be praying for you. I'll be praying that God supplies you with the strength, the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding, and the wherewithal to have everything at your disposal, to have everything within your reach in regards to facts, knowledge, statistics, anything that you need in order to combat leftism, liberalism, Marxism, socialism, communism. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a race, we are in a war, we are in the fight of our lives for the future of America and the future of the world as a whole. Because come next November, ladies and gentlemen, if the Republicans don't keep the Senate, take back the House, and win the presidency, I'm even scared to even think what is going to happen to this country. Because as I stated and posted on social media last night, you got one of the squad, Rashida Tlaib, coming out and saying that America's political and economic system needs turned on its face. It needs a radical, that's right, a radical change because the little guy is no longer being represented correctly, is being represented fully. And as I stated, this is rich. This is priceless coming from a congresswoman, freshman congresswoman to be exact, where we, you and I, the taxpayer, are paying her $175,000 salary. She is a devout Muslim, Jew-hating, America-hating individual trying to tell us that we need to flip on its head the American political and economic system. But yet this individual has taken every advantage of both for personal gain. So I only have one thing to say to this individual. Bitch, shut your damn mouth. Till next time, God bless y'all. Peace and blessings.